so much for the amazing response to Navaratri series so far. As we progress in our career and as in our life, there comes a time wherein the experience and the knowledge that we gather in our professional journeys, in our personal journeys, is something that is adequate enough for us to believe that it's time for us to give it back. And when it comes to giving back to the society, giving back to the people around us, there are a variety of options that are available to you. Some of them are very popular, which are more on the social side. However, I believe there is a lot of things that you can do in your corporate life as well. And today, we are privileged to have somebody who is facilitating that for you. It's an absolute privilege for me to have somebody who has started probably the biggest movement in India who wants to build up 1 lakh board directors who are going to contribute to corporatizing the Indian economy. And here we are to welcome the very founder of Mentor My Board. Thank you so much for taking out time and joining us today.
Thank you so much, Charudat, for inviting me and helping me share my experience and journey.
Neha, how has this been journey for you? Where did you start?
Okay, so to give a little background and a context to the entire discussion, so I am an graduate from Somaya College, then did my post graduation, and then completed my post graduation in HR from the Wellington Institute. Post that, I was working for some 5 years in corporates like the Future Group, like Kotak Life Insurance, in the HR role predominantly, wherein I used to handle the recruitment parts of HR function, leading up to the training of those recruited people. Post that, when I was expecting, so I had to leave my professional career because it was not possible for me to take care of my kid and then go to work 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. job and handle those things. So then I decided that I should give it a stop of the professional career per se, and then start something on my own. So initially for 6 or 7 months, I was juggling around things and, setting it up for me, understanding basically what is it apart from HR that I am interested into and would love to do. There is where my partner, Divya Mumaya, who is my partner at Mentor My Board as well, she came into picture in my life. And then she said, she is a company secretary handling compliances for clients. So she's been doing this business, and that time was a woman's day, and she just happened to call me and ask me, what are you doing? I said, I'm doing nothing today. So she says, Are yaar, yahan pe to kaam ka boj hai mere pe. I'm just not able to survive. And what is it that you're saying you're doing nothing? So she said, you come over and help me out. I said, okay, but compliances is not what I've learned. So I don't know anything about your function or your role. And it is such a critical and a technical one. I said, I may not be able to do justice to whatever you're saying. So she said, you don't worry, you just come along, I'll help you through. That is the day when I started my journey with her. So it's been since past 12 years we are together in this, journey. Started handling compliances for companies like LLPs, like, the private limited ones. Then took over an entire function of preparing the search reports, which are required for the banks to, sanction those kinds of loans. Getting in touch with clients, staying connected, being in HR, that was my passion to do those things. So we've maintained those clients which were there with us so for past 15 years now, and they're very happy in the satisfied clientele that we have at the back end as a CS compliance team. But then just around 2017-18, this idea of Mentor My Board came to her. So this idea is her brainchild. But then she said, कुछ ऐसा करते हैं, directors को help करना है. I said, okay, but directors हमारे पास क्यों आएंगे? Why would they come to us? So she was like, you don't worry. I'm figuring out something. I said, okay, I trust you. You go ahead and you let me know wherever, I'm ready to support you. I was like, trusting her too much. Then came a time when she got that formal board education under the Institute of Directors, and then got certified herself as an IOD. And then she said, okay, but then after that there is nothing else that I have gone through. And so that gave us a picture that we need a formal education, yes, but then we need that kind of network, that kind of continuous engagement, learning, sharpening, coming together. And how is it that we do so? So then we thought of creating up a platform of Mentor My Board when people can come together, network, learn, unlearn, relearn, because these are very, terms used very lightly, but then they have a lot of meaning, because once you've done something, unlearning it and then relearning new ways, or, including best practices from the industry in whatever you're doing, is like a very, not a normal term that we use for these words, right? So then we started this entire concept of Mentor My Board, and there were some 2 lakh directors in 2017 who were disqualified because they did not file their returns for the last 3 years. And then those people came back and told us that, if we would have known that this has to be done, we would have done it, and it would have avoided their 5 years disqualification as a director. So we understood that, SME and MSME segment is the segment wherein these kind of trainings are very critical and very essential, because top 1,000 listed companies, we already know that, they have the best of the trainings and they have the best of the industry experts to guide them. But who is there to guide these SME and MSME directors, promoters, senior management people? And to give you a small statistics, it is around, we say that there are around 7 crore businesses in India, out of which only 7,000 to 8,000 are listed companies on the Bombay Stock Exchange.
Yeah.
So there is a huge corporatization itself which has to take place. And if our government is talking about, going to $10 trillion by 2030, by 2035, this is the corporate segment which has to, corporatize and come under the formal board education. Being listed on the boards has to be their vision for us to take that kind of leap and jump of faith. So that is where this entire concept came into picture.
So how is this journey so far?
So this journey has been, I can say, a journey of ups and downs. It has given us jitters sometime. It has given us roller coasters sometime. But it was a very satisfying one. One, for first and the foremost, that we have a vision. So we have a vision of building the community of 1 lakh directors who come together, who strive, who learn, unlearn, and understand together, be together, right? So that the best practices can be shared amongst each other. Second, we are working closely now with the women leaders and women senior management professionals to help them able to break those glass ceilings and get into the boardrooms wherein they are heard at least. So generally it so happens that women are not even heard in the boardrooms. That is where we are, working hard towards making them feel that, you have to contribute, and contribution should be on the basis of your experience.
Great. So
So yes, the journey was really satisfying.
So when you look at this, the concept appears to be very fine. It's something that is in need of an hour. But when you are starting, how did people take this concept? Because there was always a kind of, I may not be very politically correct here, but to say that there was a kind of divide. Because people who were operating as the directors or independent directors at a certain level, listed companies had a very different aura, a different circle compared to the aspiring companies. So there was to be honest, a kind of divide. So how have you managed to bridge this?
Okay. Being honest, initially when we started, as I said, people were a little reluctant, and, we were ourselves not very ready with the concept, with whatever we wanted to do initially. So now things have taken up shape, and now, we see ourselves as training them and educating them, but we do not restrict ourselves only there. That is where, the niche came into the picture, because there were big players, or, big institutes like IOD. There were institutes like IICA who were already there in the market. But then what we saw is the gap was that they were training the independent directors, right? Now there was no one to handhold a promoter director. What a promoter director would go through, what are his challenges, what is it that he thinks or he finds a challenge in the boardroom, what is it that he cannot discuss with the independent directors, or maybe cannot take their suggestions. Why is it that these things are happening? And then we saw this huge startup boom that came in, and then we saw those governance failures which were very predominant, and we saw Byju's, we saw different case studies of CCDs and etc. So then we thought that yes, there is a need not only for us to train the independent directors, but also handhold the promoter directors, the women directors, and the senior management level who should be board ready to get into the boardrooms. And when they take up their board roles, they have to be more informed. So that is where we created our niche, not only restricting us towards training of independent directors, but going ahead and training or hand holding the promoters as well, and various other aspects of the directorship.
I also see a very significant gap wherein professionals, specifically women professionals who have grown up to certain level in their career, probably looking at a plateau. Somewhere at this point in time, they would like to balance the things at a various level and don't really look at the options of going beyond a point. It is one part is obviously the glass ceiling that let's admit it does exist. And it appears that somewhere that has over a period of time played a role of somewhere a lot of those professionals hitting a plateau and also getting into the comfort of large enterprise compared to taking that knowledge to the smaller enterprises and the opportunities. So I would like to understand how you are trying to bring all that amazing talentful, amazing experience to the rest of the market.
Great. So we have been, communicating with various CEOs, the CFOs, the CXOs of various companies, the huge corporates, right? Now, these are people who are willing to contribute their, expertise, their knowledge, which they have gained throughout the years of their, career. Uh, Mostly these are people who did not find those platforms wherein they could come in and share their insights and their vision about what they wanted to contribute. So then, we found this platform of Mentor My Board, which acts as an enabler for us to help them come. So we conduct various sessions like the Board Tattva series, wherein, we say that it's a mock boardroom experience for the members of Mentor My Board. So it is like you don't enter the boardroom directly, and you are not aware about anything inside the boardroom. So it is that whenever you have to enter a boardroom, you are aware about what is it to be discussed, where is it that you need to speak about, where is it that you need to refrain from or hold from speaking about something. So these are the kind of trainings that we do, and these we do along with these experienced people who have seen boardrooms very closely, or who have either been themselves in board roles, who have either been promoters or have had a managerial, a senior managerial experience to be shared with the participants. That is where it helps them to gain those kinds of various insights. So very recently what happened is, in a session that was going on in our both Tattva series, in my own manufacturing setup, I need not take up the entire responsibility of learning each domain, each function, and then training my team under me. So then she reached out to us asking for a help to, formalize the lean management system in her company. And that is where we are now going ahead and taking a step forward in actually hand holding the SME and the MSME segment, with not only nurturing those directors, but operating one level below them as well, wherein we are formulating strategies for their the senior management level as well. So these are the kind of realizations that people come back and share with us. So we've been doing these coffee meets wherein we take the case studies which are trending recently. So we've taken case studies of Byju's. We've taken case study of Jet Airways. We've taken case studies of various banks. So ICICI Bank was one of them. And we invite professionals from those industry to share their insights and perspectives.
Great. So I want to now change this thing to it on a personal side. So we understand where this mentor my board is going and how you're working. Now I want to understand how you as an individual have evolved over this 7 year period.
Okay. So that's an interesting one. So as I mentioned earlier, I was an HR professional, right? And I was hardcore HR, could not think anything about HR. And my husband, who is into sales, used to always tell me that, you have to sell yourself. to be visible, to be there in the market. So I used to say, no, sales is not my job and I cannot do it. So that was a normal conversation we always used to enter into. And then, slowly going throughout this entire startup journey, the understanding the various facets at which we are slowly evolving through the days, and understanding the concepts in deeper about how boardrooms function, how is it that we need to change ourselves, we need to understand the best practices that are coming in. So those kind of roles have given me a completely different shape together today. So today, if I have to say, I am the sales face for the company, for the organization. And it is now a 360-degree view about it that I can have. So initially, finance was not my cup of tea, so I used to always refrain from finances. But now I understand that being a director, that is one again a crucial aspect that I have to consider. So unlearning and relearning everything constantly is what I am doing. So I cannot say that my journey has ended, but I would say it has just begun, and I'm still in that learning phase. So
That's
each day is a
awesome.
new learning for us.
Absolutely. So when the youngsters look at this part, or the reason for asking this specific question was that you have transitioned to this part, and not many people are comfortable with those kind of transitions that have happened, right? So it was pretty kind of you to be so truthful about and so upfront about how the transition has happened. But a lot of youngsters, when they want to look at it, mid-change career, looking at this particular part, they find it this transition very difficult. So, what would be your advice to the professionals, particularly the women professionals who find this transition to be demanding, and they, although they know that that's their calling, they tend to shy away from that. So how they can actually manage this?
So the first and the foremost thing is go out, meet as many people as you can. Because just by meeting, knowing, understanding, it gives you a whole lot of another confidence that you can be there, you can speak up. Because speaking up in a crowd in itself is a big fear for women, which I've observed, right? So when you go ahead, go network, get associated with as many associations that you can, and effectively contribute there as well, because contribution is a major challenge which I see. uh, Charudat, am I audible?
Yeah, I can hear you well. I can hear you well.
Okay, actually my screen has freezed, so I thought possibly
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not audible.
No worries.
So contribution, taking up those challenges, taking up roles and responsibilities, moving ahead, and not restricting yourself basically. So if I am an HR, I would follow only the HR route and grow. So that is not what we should look ourselves at now. Things have changed, the surroundings have changed. People are even the more inclusive, and they are ready to accept new things. So it is time for us to change as well, and take those challenges for ourselves, basically.
Great. So the kids who are right now coming out of the college sometimes have a very different perspective compared to what probably I had, or comparatively after that, whatever the perspective that you have had in your journey.
Sure.
Today, it appears that even parents are just one of the opinions that they get out of the probably the 50 or other opinions that they get, and then they sort it out and look the things for themselves. So when they want to look at entrepreneurship, right? So there is one tendency that they want to bring in something new, they want to bring in the change. Whereas on the other side, what you're looking at is about setting the right framework for them to grow. So two things, how they can coexist.
Uh, Possibly, I think, today what I see, the young generation, they generally follow their passion. And that is the best way you give your 100% to it as well, right?
Yeah.
So if there are clear, passion and your maybe the skill set that you have, if it is falling in place in line in one particular field, that's the best way I feel you can go ahead. But if in case it does not fall in place, or they are different, so your passion is different than your skill set, possibly pursue your passion for some period of time, and then work on your skill sets so that it can fall in place with your passion as well, and then try and figure out a way wherein you can enjoy doing your work as well. And yes, the startup has given a different boom altogether to all the college people. So there are various communities, there are various cohorts that are going on. So if you get a chance and you have that courage to participate in some of those, that is the biggest learning and training that you get there, because mentoring at any stage of life is always helpful for you to broaden your vision.
Absolutely. The best practices, I would like to request formally that the best practices that you have been capturing all across this particular part, is there a way these particular things can be accessed by youngsters as well? College
The
kids?
best practices, yes, they can access, but then if it is only related to boardrooms, it is a closed group, and hence it becomes a little difficult for the college people to access it. But yes, if in colleges and you want to access the best practices around, you just need to be open up. You just need to be there in every event that is going around, because youth is the one who would be contributing to all those events. There are societies who need the youth to promote certain events. Maybe it's an NGO, maybe it's an community who would need those youth to drive in certain things. So that is the best place for you to be, to contribute and to learn from the seniors about the best ways they handle maybe the rejections that they have in life, maybe the ups and downs that they have gone through. So these are the kind of learnings that you do not get in any of the books of your college. But yes, these are only the life learnings which human library can give you. So go ahead and take that chance and grab the opportunity to get connected to them.
Thank you so much. The final question, I would like to understand how this particular message to all this leadership, particularly women who are into the leadership role across the industry today, to look at life beyond that particular employment and getting on in their contribution mode as a director. What would be your message to them?
Okay. So if you are a woman leader, so we've seen that many women leaders today, they do not have that kind of courage. They would prepare the entire document and hand it over to someone else to present it. So be confident enough to present what you have done. Be confident enough to ask for things that you want, because we as women do not ask. We do not go ahead and say that, okay, listen, I want an opportunity in the boardroom, I want this board seat. Whereas our counterparts, I'm sorry to say this, Charudat, but men are more vocal about it. It is just that
Absolutely.
we are not vocal about it, and being vocal is the key to getting things, fall in place for yourself. So be vocal, be open about sharing your learnings, your knowledge, because sharing will give you a better nudge over others. People see you as a role model, as a person whom they can follow, and that is where your chances of getting higher and higher in the management roles is even more brighter.
Thank you so much for these amazing and very, very practical insights, Neha. Wishing you and Divya all the very best for Mentor My Board. And I sincerely hope that your mission is accomplished at the earliest. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having